There we go. Okay, so I'm really excited because I'm digging deeper into my design center. So yesterday on our Facebook Live, we did this tutorial here where we just did the outline design. We outlined and then we did a creative fill in my design center. And we actually modified that. So, and I didn't realize yesterday on the video, but I only modified this little section here. So you can see like this one, we made it look weird. So I like weird things because we're all artistic, right? So this one's just a little bit different. And then this is what it shows before we made that change. So I did another one, which is right here. And this one, I did the modification in all of the section. So digging a little deeper today, we're going to be doing the outlining of it. So if you could see, I did like this little llama. I did his outline, or her outline in brown. And I also, if you can see, I did these little flowers here. I did like a straight stitch on there, and this is all in embroidery. So I'm just gonna have a bunch of hoops going at one time. This is the 10 5/8 by 16 hoop for the luminaire, and I like this 9.5 inch square. So if y'all have anything that you want to see in particular, just let me know, but we're going to dive in just a little bit deeper. So oh, and I do want to show you this. So this was like one of my first little practice runs. And it may be hard to see, but this is like using stippling. And it got really, really, really tiny. So if you can see here, you can do really, really tiny stippling. And you can make it really big. There's just so many like modifications you can do. And that's all in embroidery on the luminaire. So we're going to get started. And we're going to turn our machine on. And for those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Barbara and I am the second generation of AllBrands. My parents started the company in 1976 and they're still involved in the company, but my brother John and I are the second generation, so I'm so happy to be here in this industry. So welcome to this machine, and we're going to just start it here. It's going to like every time you start up a Brother machine, it does its calibrations. So it's going to say, you know, wait a while, and then it's going to move its hoop back and forth just so that it knows that it's set up correctly to start going. So let's just put this hoop on here. And I did the mama tiger, but I'm going to do the baby tiger today. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to my design center here, okay? And we're going to scan our background again. So I'm going to click scan here, and we're still in image scan. So like as we do more of these, I'll get into the difference between line design and illustration design, but we're still in this first section, image scan, and we're going to click scan. And there it goes. So this machine has a camera built in, and it's scanning my fabric so that I can tell it where I want it to stitch. So right now, yesterday we did fill stitches. Today we're going to do straight lines with the triple stitch, which is so pretty. It's so gorgeous. So if y'all have any questions, please give me a comment so that I can see it on my screen here. I don't see any yet, so give me some thumbs up. Okay. All right. So I did my background scan. Now if I wanted to see it a little bit larger, in color, we can do it like that. Like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you a little bit closer so that you can see the screen close up. So I'm going to put you, you're going to travel with me, so take just a second. All right. Okay. There we go. Can y'all all see me? Okay. So here's our screen. So we did the scan, which is this button here. And then when I showed you how to make it lighter or darker, that's this button here. So I'm going to make it lighter so that when I go into my properties, I can see my line a little bit better. So up here in this section is your line properties. And then this section is your fill properties. So, and you can either like click the little piece of paper, or you can click like the fill section. They both go to the same place. So I'm gonna just click the piece of paper because that's what brother says to click. And let me just scooch back just a little bit so you can see. Okay, so here you have open line, closed line, straight line, jagged line. So yesterday we did the closed line because I wanted to make sure that I designated like a full area that's closed to fill inside. But today we don't have to do that. So I'm going to do an open line. And these are your different stitches that you can do. So imagine like making your applique. You can choose your blanket stitch. You could do decorative stitches. And there's more than just that one. You can select several different types. And you can even like reverse them. So if you want it to be on the outside or the inside, you can change that as well, which is great. So we're going to go to triple stitch because that's my favorite personally. And I'm doing the tiger, so I want it to be in brown. Why is it important that you select your color? So if you want to do like multiple colors in the screen, like you can, it'll designate that as a thread change. So you definitely want to choose your colors. So like you don't have to do just one section at a time. You can do like all your tracing at once, set your different colors for each thread change you want, and then in the design it'll have all the different thread change breaks for you. So I'm going to click OK. And one thing that I really you'll get quite comfortable with whenever you start doing these line properties is your zoom and pan right here. So I'm going to zoom in to maybe 200 just at first, and then I'm going to click the little hand. That's pan, so that's going to let me move my design right, left, up, down. So I'm going to put my little baby subject tiger in the middle of the screen so that I don't have to like zoom in a bunch and then try to pan over a tiny little area. And then I'm going to zoom in more so I can get up to 1600. So that's really going to help me get my line like super duper straight in there. So once I get to where I want to be, I'm going to select my little pin that we already told it we want it to be triple stitch and an open line. And I'm just going to trace the outside of my baby tiger. Okay, so now that I've done that little one section, I'm gonna use my hand tool and then I'm gonna pan over. And I'm gonna try to get as much area on the screen as possible at one time. So then I'm gonna go and do his little tushy right there. And then we're gonna start on his tail. So this is how I was able to get it so perfectly on the line with the scan, because I zoomed in really super close. So we're gonna go down like that. And we could even, like, if we want to get really artistic with it, we can do the stripes. There's just so much you can do. And I'll show you in a little bit. I did some flowers on the other project that I was doing. And it knows, like, I'm doing the top and the bottom separately, but it's connecting the line for me because it's smart. And I like smart machines. So I'm going back and forth between the hand and the pen to get my line super duper duper straight. Okay, so now I'm like in a section, I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I go from here? I'm just gonna zoom out. Let's try 400% and see where I'm at. Okay, so now I'm at a manageable point where I can use my hand again. I'm gonna get as much of the line edges on the screen as possible in the center to where I wanna zoom. And then I'm gonna zoom in really, really close. And then I'm going to do this little side. And I know okay, so maybe you may know, some of you know, if you've ever come to an AllBrands event, that our family is very musical. I have a sister who is an opera singer in Austria, and my parents were both heavily involved in music. And they gave us children a lot of opportunities in music when we were young, and so I always have a song in my head. So I promised myself I wasn't going to sing this for y'all, but Brothers' theme song is "It's So Easy," and it's such a catchy song. Okay, so that song is "It's So Easy." Yeah. So if you've ever watched Angela Wolf's live show, you will know that song. Actually, it's not her live show. It's her the It's So Easy show that's on public broadcasting. Okay, so I wasn't sure where I was looking on the little ear because it's pretty tiny. So I'm looking here, and like on my fabric, the little ear is like, let's see, kind of like dark on white. So that is not perfect. And I'm gonna be a perfectionist today. I have decided. So I'm going to erase that section, and it's totally okay to erase. And say my eraser's too big. Oops. I can make it a circle or a square. I can make it smaller. Really easy. It's so easy, you know. And then we're gonna do it a little bit better around that ear, and then erase this little part, and that's totally fine. See? All right, so let's go back and pan some more, and imagine if you like, we're gonna do fill stitches later, but I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do the nose in a satin stitch. Will it smooth out the lines as it sees? Yes, Marian, it will. It definitely will. I'll show you just real quick. This was not a perfect design that I did, but you can see like on this stitch, it is perfect. But when I did it in the screen, it looked like this. It was pixelated, but that's just so that you can see, like, to make it very precise on the screen. So I'm gonna go make sure I'm on my pen. Oops. Not pan, pin. Pin, the pen tool. And for those of you who have a Solaris, this is the same thing. I think they call it IQ Designer. And Baby Lock just announced that they are going to give the free tutorials, which we're going to share to you on our social media, for 60 days, I think, because of the because everybody's at home wanting to learn. Ooh, what happened? Gross, Barbara. Okay, so we're going to take that out because I wasn't paying attention. And I'm going to zoom in even more and pan because my hand just went crazy all of a sudden. And I'm going to do that line just like that. It looks kind of funky on the screen, but I promise when it stitches out, it's going to be a gorge. A gorge. And I am not the most persnickety person, so if you are, please just be patient with me because sometimes I like to just get it done. And you know, if it looks handmade, handmade items have imperfections in them. So if something is like so perfect, sometimes I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. I want it to look like I made it myself and that it wasn't perfect. Okay, so there's like the outline, and I'll make this like a little lighter so you can see the outline of our little baby tiger. Okay, and then I think this is good. So I'm going to click next. And this is where I messed up yesterday. So like on my design, I only modified like this little section because, and not this section, because I didn't click the little lock here. So when you have like multiple subjects, just go ahead and click that lock and it'll select everything. So you're not just, so see, this is like saying that there's two different sections of this design. I'm gonna click the lock, and then if I wanted to change like the stitch length, I could, but I'm not gonna do that because the stitch that's already in it is absolutely gorgeous. And then it's going to convert it to an embroidery pattern. So now what I'm gonna do, let's just show the background. Oh, I didn't scan my screen. Let's scan it. Okay, so while it's scanning, I'm gonna bring you back to show you here. It's just gonna scan it. If y'all can see all that. Let's see. All right, so now I'm gonna click close, and then I'm gonna go to embroidery, and I'm going to project my design on my pattern so that I can see exactly where it's going to stitch. So I made it, it's very brightly colored fabric, but let's see, where did my, okay, so see how it's projecting, and I can see the stitch before it's going to be on the fabric. So if I needed to like move that over, or say I came unhooked or something like that, unhooped, I could move that here. But since I was actually tracing the design, I'm not going to change that. And in real life, you don't see the rainbows, but on Facebook Live, it's a disco party. It's so funny whenever we do videos of this machine, when you show the projector, it's all rainbow. Okay, so then I'm going to go and click down. Oh, I have to thread. So one great thing that I love about this machine is the thread stand. So we're just gonna go up and over, thread here. Oh, and I made a mistake. Let me tell you guys, every time you thread, make sure that your foot is up. That's very important because that opens this little section where the tension discs, because you don't want to thread it when the tension discs are closed. So you make sure your foot is raised, and that's on every machine. And then you want to go follow it. So this is the important part. Okay, and so after you get it through here, you can put your foot down, and then when you pull the thread, you feel there's tension on it. Okay, if you raise the foot up, you can feel like the thread pulls freely through your machine. So that's with any machine. And also when you're done stitching, it's very important. I'll show you in just a second, but the needle threader, that's just very easy. So say like you're finished stitching, you always want to like clip from the top and pull up. And the reason why is because the thread, the way that it's wound, like over time, if you pull down, it'll like create a bunch of residue in here, and your machine would need to be serviced sooner than if you clip from the top and pull up. So let's just get sewing, and I'll show you close up. it's going to stitch around my baby tiger. All right, so you can see it automatically trims the thread for the different sections. So because we zoomed in and took our time, it's going to come out very, very cute. So, all right. Is there anything else that y'all would like to see? Let me just move the camera back over here. Oh, and not, just bear with me for a second. Okay, so here we go. And now it's stitching. Okay. So I think what we'll do tomorrow on our Facebook Live is we're gonna do fill stitches. So imagine like doing this like, well, on this one, if you do like a line around each of these little dark pink parts. I also did showing you like why the color change is important. Like I did like the dark green and the white as two different colors, and it stitched that out. So that's pretty cool. All right, so our little baby tiger is done, and this is it. How cute is that? Don't you love that? I hope that you're inspired. I hope that this video in some way gets you back into your sewing room, because that's going to be your happy place, and I want you to be happy. So I really thank you so much for joining me today, and I guess tomorrow, let's say at same time, 3:30, I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live on how to do like to fill a section. So please join me then, and I really appreciate you joining me in my sewing room. Tuning out, Barbara. Mwah.